Welcome to the second episode of this series, and good news finally, since I think that most of the vlog lately has been a bunch of bad news. We are doing really good this month, and yeah, that was right in time because, as I said in the previous vlog, we were borderline going broke, and we're still not in a safe zone, but this week has been really good. Of course, I'll go in detail at the end of the series when we just catch up with everything, how it all went. But yeah, feeling good this week. A lot of big wins that I haven't had in months and months and months. It's back to back to back. So today is a Saturday, so it's gonna be a 2-5. We're gonna head in there and play. Hopefully there's some action. Yesterday was good, and Saturday's usually good. And after this one, it will be the last day of the month, since today is the 16th. So yeah, with that said, let's head in and play some poker, and let's try to keep this good run going. As we get in, they just opened a 2-5 must move, but we got there a few minutes late and the table is full, but we're first in line. So we're gonna play a little bit of 1-3 until the seat opens. We get our chips, 300, a couple extra in case we need to add on, and we jump into the first hand. That is Queen 7 suited, 7-6 off, 9-7 off, King 6 off, Queen 4 off, King 7 off, 9-3 off, 10-9 off. And now we got the first hand of the session, 7-6 suited in under and 2. I make it $12 and get a hijack and small blind to call. Flop, Queen 5, and not the worst. We got backdoor flush and backdoor straight going on for us. So when it checks to us, I see bet first $12, and when the hijack calls, turn is a deuce. And if the small blind would have called, I'd definitely be barreling a lot. It's the fact that the hijack is next to act. It looks a little stronger. So I decided to check here to kind of see where he's at. If he bets, I'll just fold. And if he checks, most likely doesn't have a queen, then maybe I could get that to fold on the river. So that is what I do. We see good news when he does check back. River is a 9. And now I definitely don't think he has any queens. And I think I could get his ace highs, king highs to fold. Maybe small pocket pairs, a 5 when a 9 comes on the river and a backdoor flush comes in. So let's do it. But I think we got a bit big to get those to fold. I make it $70. And he snap calls. Yeah, I show, and he has ace 10 suited for the ace high. That did not believe me, and yeah, it is what it is. I definitely thought I was going to get that to fold with that size, and I'm going to find out in the next hands that this is just a player that I shouldn't be trying to bluff too much. He said in this moment that he had a read, and a few hands later he had another read and made a super light call. So I just think, you know, some people are very call happy, and yeah, he is one of those. So at least now we know it. It was the first time playing against him. Let's move on to 6-5 off, 5 deuce off, 10-6 off, 5-3 suited, 9-7 off, jack deuce off, 10-3 off, king 5 off, ace deuce off, king 7 off. And now we hear the great news that a seat is open in the 2-5 must move. So let's rack up, head over there. We add on to be at $1,000, and let's jump right into the first hand. That is Jack 7 suited. I dropped my phone, so let's fix that and move on to 3-4 off, pocket threes. But again, in early position, no thank you. Queen 4 off, 8-5 off, pocket 5 in a small blind. The strategy is going on when early position raises. With 2 blinds after me, it's just not a great spot, so I let it go. Ace 9 off in the button, definitely good enough to raise, but under the gun raises himself, so I let it go. 10-3 suited, ace 4 off, 9-4 suited, 7-3 suited, 5 deuce suited, 9-7 off, king 8 off, ace 9 in the button, but again, the hijack raises a massive $45, so of course we're letting it go. Now we got one we're going to play, king 9 suited in the cutoff, hijack limp, so I make it $25, small blind calls, and now the big blind rips it all in for $275. So yeah, not calling that all in with my hand, so I do let it go. Jack 8 off, 10-7 off, Queen 8 suited in every position, not good enough. Now in a big one, pocket 9s. Hijack, a very aggressive player, makes it $10. Now the button, older Asian reg, makes it $50. And yeah, interesting spot. I don't like flat calling 3 bets, but I know the button, and I do think he could be 3-betting wide, just because this player is a very action recreational and just wants to get it heads up with him. But 4-betting with pocket 9s, he still could have strong hands. So yeah, you'll almost never see me flat calling 3 bets, but this seemed like an exception spot. Still, I think I should probably fold a 3-bet, but at the moment I do call. Hijack calls, flop, king 8-4. It's not loving it. And when the button does bet $75, I called as well, because I think I was going to find out on the flop what he had, because 3 ways I thought he was going to play pretty straight up. So yeah, when the king is there and another player left to act, I do just let it go. And indeed, he had pocket aces. So I was close to 4-betting myself. So I'm happy I did not go for that. That would have been pretty bad timing. Let's move on to the next hand. That's ace jack off. Straddle is going on. There's 2 limpers. So I make it $70 and everybody folds. 9-4 off, 9-4 suited, 9-6 off, 6-5 off. Now I change seat to get a better view of the table. We got King 4 off, 10-5 suited. Now in a big blind with 8-3 suited. Straddle is going on, hijack cutoff limp. And $5 more, super multi-way. It's a suited hand, so I call under the gun checks, flop 4-4 queen. Nothing wrong for us, checks around, turn is a 7. So now we got a flush draw, and I think most likely someone would have bet if they had a 4 or maybe even a queen. So let's go for it. I make it $20, and only the hijack calls. River is another 7. And not the best spot because, he could have hit a 7 and now it's a full house, a stalker to full. But I do think he could be calling the flop with plenty of ace highs. There's straight draws and maybe even a queen's not loving this. So I got 8 high and I do think I could get some hands to fold. So let's do it. I make it $50 and we get some respect in the 2-5 since he does fold. The bluff gets through. Let's move on to 8-3 suited, King 4 suited, Ace 7 suited. I'd raise it, but early position raises itself under his collar, so I just let it go. Ace 10 off on an early position, 6-4 off, Ace 3 off in a big blind. We see a free flop, miss and fold. 5 deuce off, Queen 8 off, pocket 4s and a cutoff. Low jack limps. I make it $25, but in small blind low jack call. Flop 6-8-6. And yes, all multi when playing pretty straight up. So I checks around, turn is a queen, checks around, river's another queen. Small blind bets $15, low jack raises to 80. So I'm letting it go. Interesting thing was small blind calls and low jack was bluffing. But the small blind did have us beat at least since he did have a 6 for a full house. Let's move on to 10-8 suited, 10-9 off, 6 deuce off, King 3 off, Ace 7 off. They call a name for the main game since indeed this was the must move. So let's rack up, head over there and jump right into the first hand. That is 4 deuce off, 6-4 suited, Queen 4 suited, 8 deuce off, 5-4 off. We see a free flop miss and fold. 6-3 off. Now we are in the button with Queen 10 suited. Under the gun 1 makes it $15. And this player, he has a sizing tell. $15 is a hand that wants to see a cheap flop. If he had a strong hand, he would make it a good amount bigger than this. So when a cutoff calls, I don't want to just call here and see a flop since I think both players are pretty capped and weak, and I could just take it down now. Pre betting, and if someone does call, I have a decent hand. So let's do it. I make it $75 as I was expecting. Under than 1 does fold, but the cutoff double flats. He calls my 3 bet. So interesting spot. Let's go to a flop that is 9-10-7. So good for our hand since we have top pair queen kicker, but definitely a little scary. I thought he'd be flatting twice a lot with pocket pairs. So we could have pocket 9s, pocket 7s. And if he has a pocket pair worse than that, I mean, they're pretty much dead. Or maybe he has some suited connectors that hit decently strong with this one. So when he checks, I decide to check back here, pocket a little bit. Turn is a 4. Now he bets $55, and of course not going anywhere with my top pair after checking back the flop. So I do call. River, not the best. It's another 4 that brings in the flush. At least it pairs the board. So I don't think he ever bets the turn with a 4. And now it's less likely he has pocket 4s himself. So he bets $160. I'm really not loving this spot, honestly. This player, I haven't seen him bluff that often. Flush comes in, and I do think players may double flat a lot with just suited hands, and he sets have full houses. That definitely be going for value. But after checking back the flop, and he made it pretty small on the turn, and it is a little over half pot. I just don't have to be good that often. So I don't think I could fold. So I do flick in the call, and we see the great news when he flips over Ace 3 suited. So our top pair is indeed good. Worked out for us checking back the flop since that was his folding, and he decided to turn it into a bluff. And now we are in the green, up $147. Let's try to keep this going. 10-6 off, 8 deuce suited, 6-5 off, 10-6 off, 10-5 off, 8 deuce off, Jack 10 off, Ace 7 off. Now when I cut off for the hand, we'll definitely play 8-7 suited. Under the gun limps, under the gun 2 makes it $10, and this seems to be his size. Definitely weird, first time playing with him. If it was like the previous player that I know this is weak, I'd 3-bet, and he's in early position. So when hijack calls, is a weird spot when people do weird plays. That is just the min raise. So I do decide just to call, but in small and under and call as well. So super multi-way to a queen for ace flop. So I'm just done with this hand. Checks around, turn is a king, small and bets $20, and I just fold. Let's move on to King 5 off, 8-3 suited, 6-3 off, 3 deuce off, 7-3 off, 10-5 off, 7-3 off, ace-4 off, 6-3 off, ace deuce off, 3-7 suited, ace deuce suited. In the big blind, we chop it up, jack-5 off. Now we are in the button with ace-10 suited. Folds to us, I make it $20 and no action since they fold. Now we got queen deuce off, 8-7 suited in the hijack. Definitely pretty, but under than 2 makes it $25. That's a pretty big size. And I just don't love these spots because if I call, it's going to probably go very multi-way out of position and I just got to hit my hand. And as well, maybe someone's going to squeeze and then I'm in a weird spot. Altogether, I just try to be in position with my flat, at least a cutoff or button, or if not, just 3-bet. I decide just to let it go. 10-7 off, king queen off in early position. Straddle is going on, and yeah, I'm probably looking like a nit, but honestly, in under the gun, I will be folding ace jack off, king queen off, depending on the game. If it's a pretty soft game, I will raise them up, but if there's 3-betting, it's just not the best spot, so I do let it go. 6-7 suited in early position when under the gun raises. Again, same situation as before. I just let it go. King jack off, 8-4 off, 9-3 off, 9-5 off, king deuce suited. Now I'm going to hijack with king 10 suited. Under the gun makes it $25. And yeah, I'm just getting a bunch of these spots back to back. Just love to be raising it myself. Or 3-betting against later position. Maybe if the low jack raised. I mean, under than 2 is very similar, but he did make it a big size. 25 is big for this game, so I do just let it go. King 7 off, 9-6 off, queen 9 off, and 8-4 off. All right, little bathroom break, and so far, not too much going on. No big hands or premiums, but pretty happy with how I'm playing. We're up after the one with the queen 10 suited. I played aggressively and got rewarded. And yeah, feeling good. Game's okay. Action player just sat down a few spots to my right, and that definitely could make some big hands because he's just barely off. He bluffed off his stack right now, and he bought him for another 1,000. So I think he's a little tilted, so that makes it even more action. So definitely a lot of things could happen. And yeah, let's just head back in there. We got 2 more hours to go, so plenty time to go. And yeah, that's it. Let's do it. When we get back, we buy in. When the cutoff 8-6 suited, pretty good, but low jack makes it $30. I just fold. 7-4 off, 10-6 off, 10-6 suited, queen 8 off, 10-9 off in a small blind with a button straddle. I call. Button makes it $70, and I do just let it go. Now we got one we're definitely not going to fold. Ace king off in a small blind. Cutoff makes it $25. Folds to us. I make it $100, and he just lets it go. Let's get it upgrade. Now we got ace king suited in the button. Under than 2 makes it $15. Hijack cutoff call, and let's 3-bet. I make it $90. Under than 2 calls, and now the hijack that is a massive maniac. This is one of the biggest action players that regularly plays around here, and he is not running well. He goes pretty crazy, and you can see it now since he rips it all in for $1,200. So yeah, never even considering folding here because I have ace king suited, and as well, he is very action, so he will be 3-betting his strong hands. This just looks like a massive punt. And yeah, my guess in the moment was he just has some, medium pocket pair that's just in fuck it mode. And yeah, I do take a few moments because I know he only runs it once, and I do not have a massive bankroll, so I'm just getting ready to what most likely is going to be a flip for $2,500. So yeah, let's take a deep breath and flick in the call. Everybody else folds, so here we go. Flop comes ace 5-6, so looking really good. There is our top pair. We're beating most hands, but the turn is a 4, so now we're losing against any club, and the river is even worse. It's a king. So now we are chopping or losing. That's definitely not what I was hoping for, but at least we get the best case scenario with our options since he flips over ace 9 suited that ripped it all in pre-flop for with 200 big blinds. And I did have a brain fart in the moment and I thought I won the hand. I don't know why my mind was kind of like in PLO mode, as if you have to play the card you have in your hand. Anyways, let's not go in depth with that. I just thought briefly that I had just won $1,200, and when I was pushing my chips forward, a player kind of letting me know, hey, you're not winning. So yeah, definitely an amazing spot, but we do not scoop, but at least we don't lose, so at least it's not worst case scenario, and we are still with 184 profit. That doesn't look as pretty after what could have been, but that is poker. Let's move on. The ace 8 suited. When a hijack raises, I just let it go, and now we got another decent one. Pocket 10s in a hijack. Under than 1, under than 2 limps, so I'm getting $30, and they both call. Flop. Okay, queen, queen, 3. So just one overcard, and it's 2 of them, so less likely they have one. So it checks to us. I am going to c-bet. I make it $30. Under than 1 folds. Now under than 2, same player as before. The action player makes it 80. And yeah, if he has a queen, he has it. I'm not folding to him, maybe. Let's just see what he does on the turn on river, but definitely not right now. I do call. Turn is a 7, and we see the good news when he checks. And now I just thought maybe he could be trapping sometimes, and if he was bluffing, I don't think he's going to call, and maybe if I check back and show weakness, he'll try to bluff the river. So that is the plan. I check back. River is another 7, and now when he checks again, maybe he has some showdown that we could get value from. Maybe he had a pocket pair that he thought was good and was kind of check raising to see where he was at. So let's try to get value from all of those. I make it $100, but he just lets it go. So we scooped that one. That was a pretty nice one. King deuce suited, and now we got a pretty-ish one. King 10 suited, under than 2. Shuttle is going on, so I get $30, and a small blind, big blind, under than call. So pretty multi-way to a 9-7 deuce flop. And yeah, if it wasn't so multi-way, I'd definitely put out a c-bet. But 4 ways, I'm going to play pretty straight up, especially with some very action players that I have a good amount of check raises in their arsenal. So I do check back. Turn is a 5. Big blind bet's $100, and I just fold. Jack 3 suited, now under the gun with ace 10 suited. I make it $20. Small blind calls. Now the big blind action player makes it $120. And yeah, definitely got to call wider against this player because, again, he's pretty aggressive, but I'm under the gun. Ace 10 suit is definitely on the bottom of my range, and yeah, I think he just got better hands, so I do let it go. Now in a big blind with ace deuce suited. Button shell is going on, folds to us. I make it $30, and the button calls. Flop 8, 4, 5, so pretty horrendous. So yeah, out of position, I check, and he bets $100. And yeah, maybe against a small c-bet I'd call, but against an almost 2x pot on this board with nothing going on, I just let it go. Now in a smaller at pocket 7s, cut off the action player makes it $25, folds to us, and exceptions in the small blind and flatting is in pocket pairs, and especially against the cutoff that he could go crazy if I flop a set. We can definitely stack him, so I do call. Big blind calls as well. Flop 5, 8 deuce. Checks to the cutoff, who bet $60. And yeah, I mean, I maybe should be calling these ones. This is the downside of calling with pocket pairs that are decently strong because they're usually overcards, and especially when I have another player left to talk after me that could definitely have an 8. Altogether, I was mostly calling the set mine because I know this guy and he will triple off a good amount of time, which is garbage. I don't like calling the flop to give up on the turn since I'm mostly not going to improve. I mean, at least this time I have outs to a backdoor straight draw, so a 9 and 6 will give me some extra, and of course a 7 would give me a set, but altogether, I just let it go. King deuce off, jack 5 off, 10-7 off, 9-8 off, 5-3 suited, now in a big blind with ace 9 suited. Button shot is going on again under the gun, cut off limp. I call, probably should be squeezing here. Just this game, just people were not really folding much, and I don't want to play a massive pot out of position with ace 9 suited. So let's see a cheap flop. I call, button checks, flop, king 6 queen. Not much going on for us, but checks around, turn is a deuce. Under them bets $50, and I just let it go. Jack 7 off in a small blind, 10-4 off, not a cutoff with king 8 suited. Under them 2 limps, I make it $25, and she folds. 6-5 off, 7 deuce off, ace 3 off, 10-3 off, king 9 off, king 8 off, 10-8 suited, king 8 off, 8-4 suited, 8-3 off, 8-6 off, and now we got a pretty-ish one. Ace 5 suited, under the gun 2. Straddle is going on, so definitely a pretty big game for my bankroll with the straddle. Under the gun 1 limps, I make it $40, and under the gun and under the gun 1 call. Flop, queen, 7, 10, so absolutely nothing going on for us. I just check, turn is a 7, under the gun bets $75, under the gun 1 calls, and I just fold. So yeah, it's always kind of a bummer just seeing our profit fade away by raising and having to just let go when we miss, but let's focus and keep it going. Jack 8 off. Now we're under the gun with pocket 7s. I make it $20 and get 5 callers. So definitely amazing game. Let's see if we get a 7. Flop 10, 10, 9. Big blind leads for $50. So I just let it go. Under 1 does call. And this was a crazy action flop because the big blind had queen jack suited for a straight flush draw. And under the gun 1 had pocket 9 for a flop full house. So yeah, just happy getting out of the way from that one. Let's move on to queen 10 off in the big blind. It was straddle going on. There was 3 limpers. Small blind made it $40. This is okay hand to defend in the big blind, but I don't think in this spot because we're going to play out of position, super multi-way, and we're going to be next to act after the pre-flop aggressor. So yeah, I just let it go. Queen 5 off, 7-6 off, king 6 off. Now I'm going to hijack with ace 10 off. Under the limb, so I make it $25, and they call. Flop, finally we hit. Let's go 10, 6, 7. So top pair, top kicker, definitely a little scary because there is a straight and 2 pairs. But when it checks to me, let's bet. The strategy here is just betting the same amount, 25, half pot. But on this flop is so many draws. I just think she's going to call a small bet that she'll call a big bet with hands. Anything that has a pair very likely could have a straight draw with it or flush draw. So let's just go big. I make it $50 and she does call. Turn is a 3. And this player, I think C is pretty aggressive with her values. So if C had a straight, 2 pairs, a set, I think CB check raising a lot on the flop on such a draw heavy board. So I think for the most part, I am good here. I go for $110. I would have definitely liked this over betting here too, because I think it's the same spot. If she has like 7-8, 6-8, 10-9, 10-8, she's just not folding. Even any 10 better than that, 10 jack, 10 queen, 10 king with the flush draw. There's so many draws. I think she's betting, calling a really big size, but in the moment that is the size I do, and she does call. River is a 4, so now any 5 is a straight. She checks, and yeah, definitely scary. She could have some 5s. She could have 6-5, 7-5. She is pretty wide pre-flop, but I would like value betting here. I think I could put a block bet of $100, even $150, half pot. And I do think she'll call a good amount of time with her top pair when so many draws miss. But in the moment, I do go with my showdown and check back. And we are good against 10-9 suited. So yeah, these are spots that maybe you'll see and you think you played it well. I made money, but I do think I left a good amount of money on the table in this one. I do think I could have at least made an extra $100. That is pretty massive if you think about it. But let's just focus and try to improve that. I am working on my game, on making better decisions in the moment. And, you know, it's a process. So let's move on to Jack 10 off, 9-4 suited, Queen Deuce off, Ace Deuce suited in the small blind. Low Jack makes it 15, cutoff makes it 30. So, yep, I just let it go. Now we got Queen 7 suited in the button. There's 3 limpers onto us, and you'll almost never see me limp. But this spot seemed like a decent exception because it seems a little too weak to be raising against 3 limpers that these players are not wanting to fold. But at the same time, I didn't want to fold since I am in the button and these players are pretty action. So let's do it. I limp behind, small blind calls, big blind checks, flop absolutely nothing, King Jack 3. So in low jack bets, I just fold. Moving on to King 9 off, pocket 3s in low jack under than 2 makes it $20, and I'm staying strict here. If I was in a game that people have been very passive and I think I could see a flop and people on 3 betting, maybe I could set mine, but altogether the move is to fold. So that is what I do. And I would have flopped a set, but let's not be results oriented. We should be happy we folded, even though we would have flopped a set with our favorite number. Let's just move on to a better pocket pair. Pocket queens and under than 2. I make it $20, and everybody folds. Queen 10 off, 6-5 suited in the big blind, but the button makes it $40. So yeah, definitely be defending his hand in the big blind, but they made it 8x. So I don't think it's a profitable call against that massive raise. So I don't defend my big blind and I let it go. Jack 7 off. Now the super action player leaves, so that's definitely a bummer. Let's try to keep it going without him. We're in the button with ace queen suited. Low jack makes it $20, and this is definitely hand I'm 3-betting for the most part. But in the button, I do mix in flatting sometimes. I prefer 3-betting, but at the moment, I do just call. So we go heads up to a flop of king 5-5. So not much going on for us, but with the backdoor flush draw when he just bets $20, I do think this player could just be c-betting range. So I do call. Turn is a 9. Now he checks. And I didn't think I had to bet here. I thought there was a good amount of time. My ace is good. I have showdown value, so no need to bluff. I check back. River is a 6. He checks, and now I just think I'm good a decent amount of time. I check back, and we are no good against 6-7 off. So good to know he's raising that, since we should definitely be 3-betting super wide if he's raising 6-7 off in the low jack and he hit the river and we get punished for not being aggressive. Let's move on to 9 deuce suited, 5-3 suited, 5-4 off, 5-4 off, 6 deuce suited, 7-8 off, 8-4 off, 10-6 off, king deuce off. Now we got pocket 6s in the hijack. 1 limper, I'm making $25. Now the cutoff is super tight. player makes it 85, so I just let it go. 8 deuce off, king 5 off, 6-4 off, 6-5 off, not a big line with 9-5 suited. Under the gun, the type player that 3-bet me earlier makes it $15. Cutoff calls onto us, and you'd think I'd fold or call, but under the gun has a size tell, and $15 from early position is not strong. And this is why you shouldn't have multiple sizes, because I know if he had a premium hand, he'd definitely make it 25, 30. He makes even sometimes bigger. So that just seems like a hand that wants to go cheap to a flop. And I definitely think that I could get that to fold, and a cutoff as well. That's his flats. I don't think they're that strong, so let's do it. I make it $90. Under the gun thinks for a little bit and finally does fold, and so does the cutoff. Under the gun told me that he had ace jack off, and just like that, we scoop $30. Not even seeing the flop with our pretty 9-5 suited. Let's move on to king 8 off, 9-6 off, ace 6 off, 5 deuce suited, queen 4 off, queen 8 off, ace 3 off, jack 6 off. In the blinds, we chop it up. I got pocket 7s in the button. Under the gun makes it $20, and hijack 3 bets is 60. So yeah, definitely nice to have a decent pocket pair in the button, but we're not going to cold call a 3-bet, so we're going to have to let this one go. Now when I cut off a 6-5 suited, under the 2 hijack limp, so I make it $30 and only the hijack calls. Flop ace queen 6 checks to us, and this is a spot that I learned in the boot camp that I was really surprised that in live cash games, ace high boards is not always better for us, and that is because our opponents have more aces than us. I don't want to give off too much information, but hopefully they're cool with this. Just players love to play aces. So they'll have way more aces in their calling ranges, offsuit versions, than the ones we raise pre-flop. So a good strategy in this spot is betting really big, pot or a little bit over, or checking. So we bet really strong hands or bluffs, and one of the bluff candidates is blocking bottom pair. So just using bottom pair as a bluff since we're blocking sets and 2 pairs. So let's do it with our 6-5 suited. I make it $70, and decent news when they just fold and we take it down right there. While we get through some garbage, seems like a good time to bring up the boot camp. If you follow me, you already know it's one of the most amazing experiences poker related that I went through. 28 days, calls every day with Mark Goon, and another high stakes cash crusher. And yeah, just what I needed. I'm working on my game now, and I do think it's pushing me so much to improve and just get better. And yeah, I'm leaving a link in my bio if you want to check it out. I already give you a heads up. It is not cheap. This is not for newcomers to poker. It's if you're really serious, really putting in hours. And if you want to improve your hourly and just learn these very aggressive strategies that's targeted towards exploiting live cash players. So with that, check it out, link in my bio. And as well, if you show some love, like, comment, and subscribe, it always helps, because I'm working on posting one of these every week, and that's a shit ton of work. So your support definitely helps out, that I could get more views, make more money off of this, and actually make it worth the hours I put into it. So with all that said, let's jump into the next hand that we're in a big blind with ace 2 suited. Cutoff makes it $20, small blind calls, and suited ace in a big blind. Let's do it. I call flop. Queen 3 jack. So yeah, backdoors. When a cutoff makes it $30, that's pretty big in a small blind calls. I think it's a little optimistic just calling with backdoors, so I do just let it go. King 3 off, and a smaller, we chop it up. 9-3 off, 5-3 off, king 9 off, ace jack off, but in under the gun, as I said, we do let this one go, and that is it. So nothing crazy, up $293, but I will take it. Second win in the row for the vlogs. Definitely feels nice ending that pretty bad run, since I was just losing a bunch of vlogs back to back to back. So with all that, let's rack up, cash out, and talk about the session. All right, that was it. Pretty interesting session. No massive pots, except of course the ace king against the ace 9. That was for sure a bummer. That would have made our session another over 1K win. Since 4 last 5, I was up over 1K. That's absolutely amazing. But anyways, it was not worst case scenario. A chunk of the time we would lose that one. So at least we didn't lose it. So yeah, that was definitely nerve-wracking with my bankroll. Just get all in and run it once for 2.4, 2.5K. That is intense. Yeah, altogether pretty happy with how I played. trying to push myself and really think stuff through, or if I think there's some type of tell with the sizes or they're showing weakness or the cap, just really going for it. And yeah, altogether, I do think maybe in some spots I could have bet a little bigger for value. And you know, I'm just working every day on making my game better, because that stuff add up. You know, if I could have bet $20, $30 more in a spot and get called, that is a good chunk of money that definitely adds up to the hourly. But anyways, happy with another win. I think it's 2 in a row for the vlogs. That's always nice, because the theme was a lot of losses in the old vlogs. So feeling good, running pretty well this month so far. So let's try to keep it going. And as usual, if you could like, comment, and subscribe. Always happy to talk about hands. I'll see you in the next video. That will be the last day of this month.